So the paper that I'm looking at today is by Fritz and Schucker, and it focuses on sexual selection in wild populations of seed bugs. And the title of this paper is Sexual Selection in Wild Populations of Seed Bugs and the Role of Size in Pre-Mating Choice by Females and Males. Sexual selection has been one of the key ideas in evolution since Darwin, but it's often told as a very simple story. Usually, we think of males competing for mates and females choosing who to reproduce with. In reality, it's not always this one-sided. In many species, both sexes can be selective, especially when mating takes energy or when there's a cost involved. In this study, the authors looked at two Mediterranean seed bug species, S. pandurus on the right and L. criticis on the left, to see whether body size affects who gets to mate and whether both males and females show any types of preferences. Essentially, they wanted to see what we know from lab studies and see how those same ideas hold up in natural populations where real-world conditions come into play. The researchers predicted that larger individuals would have higher mating success, but for different reasons in each sex. Larger males might be more successful because they can physically hold on to females during mating or even outcompete other smaller males. Larger females might be preferred by males because they can produce more eggs and have higher reproductive potential. They also wanted to test for size assortative mating, which means seeing if individuals of similar size tend to pair together more often than expected by chance. To test these ideas, they collected both mating pairs and single individuals from wild populations in Sicily. Each bug was measured for body length, thorax width, and abdomen width, and the researchers compared the sizes of those that were found mating to those that were not. This allowed them to see if body size predicted mating success in either sex and in both species. By focusing on natural populations, they could observe how selection actually works in the wild, not just in controlled lab settings. These results showed clear sexual selection, but it worked differently depending on the species and on the sex. In S. pandurus, larger females were more likely to be mating, which means males preferred them. This is called directional selection, where one extreme of a trait is favored, and this can be seen in the graph on the left. For males, this pattern was different. The most successful males were often medium sized, while very small and very large males had a lower success. This is stabilizing selection, where individuals in the middle have an advantage. This can be seen in the graph on the right. In L. criticis, the pattern was more straightforward. Larger males and larger females were both more likely to mate, showing directional selection on both sexes. Across both species, there was no evidence of size assortative mating. Large individuals weren't pairing up with large ones more than expected. In short, both sexes experienced sexual selection, but the exact pattern depended on the species and on the sex. This shows that sexual selection can shape both males and females just in different ways. This study can help us rethink how sexual selection actually works in nature. Traditionally, researchers thought of sexual selection as being mostly male-driven, with males competing and females choosing. But the findings here show that both sexes can actually be selective and that both shape the evolution of traits like body size. What makes this paper especially interesting is that it's based on wild populations instead of lab-based experiments. So it shows that mutual mate choice actually does happen in nature. The key takeaway is that sexual selection isn't just a one-way process. It acts on both males and females, and both play an active role in driving evolution in this species. Overall, this research gives us a clearer picture of how evolution operates in real ecosystems, showing that both sexes can be powerful forces in shaping the traits that we see in the wild. Thank you.